In the first attempt, I was eliminated from the mains exam. A few things which I made it right, which I could not do it in my first attempt.
Can you suggest to our listeners what mistakes they should not do specifically in preparing for PSIR?
Now coming to GS, for GS, I did a couple of things. If you are not able to replicate what you have learned in your answer sheet, then that learning will have no meaning for you and you will not be able to get the marks in the end.
Very warm welcome to all of you in the new episode of Topper's Talk, and today we have a very special guest, Amritanshu Nayak, and he's going to give insight about his preparation and how he has completed his journey. So let's start and let's talk to Mr. Nayak.
Yes,
First, very warm welcome to you.
thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot, sir.
So, what about the feeling being into service?
So I feel very privileged and as well as humbling, along with a lot of happiness, of course, that I have finally made it there.
And what was your reaction of your family, friends, how they have taken this news?
So all of them were quite happy. Even I was feeling a bit dicey about my final result. But when I saw my name on the list, all the stress and the satisfaction which came with it, so it was a very good feeling for all of them.
Okay, so let's start with your journey, which attempt it was and how you prepare your earlier attempt and what you did different in your this attempt, so you made it finally in the list.
So, sir, this was my second attempt at the civil services examination. In the first attempt, I was eliminated from the mains exam. So, I had scored around 20 marks or so less than the cutoff for mains. And for the second attempt, sir, a few things which I made it right, which I could not do it in my first attempt, was first of all to give more time to the subjects. Second would be to improve my presentation. My handwriting was bad, so I had to improve it. In addition to that, I had to add a lot of value addition, like improve my diagrams presentation, add more definitions, try to draw charts into it, and others, sir.
Okay, so let's be precise a little bit. What strategies you have adopted for your GS paper? What you have adopted for your essay paper?
Sir, I will first of all start with the essay thing. Sir, for essay, I found out in my first attempt that I could not cover the sufficient dimensions within the essay and I was not able to open it properly. So for the second attempt, what I did was to write more and more essays and try to open up as many dimensions I could as possible. And in addition to that, I was working on quotes, innovative examples, and basically I was trying to implement whatever remarks which were given to me by the faculty while the person was checking my tests. Now coming to GS, for GS, I did a couple of things. First of all was to improve my content from across a lot of sources, newspapers among others. And second was time management, because I remember in my ethics paper, I had left around 6 questions of part A, which had disastrously reduced my marks in the first attempt. So the purpose here was not only to improve the content, but also as to complete the question and answer paper in sufficient time.
Okay. Then you talk about content improvement. So how you did your content improvement?
So for content improvement, what I did was to prepare my base really well. I used all of the static resources like Lakshmikant, Spectrum, Shankara PDF for environment, and everything to prepare my base notes. In addition to that, I started to refer current affair magazines on a regular basis. And most importantly, answer writing and the remarks given there. In addition to that, I also incorporated the model answer key given by the coaching institutes into my own notes so that I could get the best of the both worlds.
Okay. So there is a role of newspaper also in content advancement?
Yes, sir. Newspaper plays a very great role in content enhancement. First is with respect to the information which you get from the newspaper. So you can add that in your notes. And second would be the language which the newspaper provides. It helps to bring a certain maturity in your own answers.
Can you give a tip that how one should extract material from newspaper, because it is very exhaustive to read newspaper and then make notes out of it, and also like there are multiple newspapers.
Yes.
Is there any specific thing you can tell how students should approach to the content collection specifically from the newspaper?
So with respect to newspapers, uh, getting an expertise in reading newspapers and extracting content from it requires some amount of time and patience. Initially, when you read the newspapers, you are reading it cover to cover, so it takes a couple of hours. But it can be reduced significantly by looking at the syllabus and corroborating it with whatever the newspaper offers. So, for an editorial, if you find that the editorial is important for your GS syllabus, you can incorporate that, and you can add some short points which you think are the gist of the paper into the base notes.
Okay, so as I understand, while reading newspaper, going for the articles, only few important points which is related to your syllabus, which is related to the topic what you're preparing,
Yes.
you need to keep that.
Yes.
There is rather than going for the whole article.
Yes,
This
sir.
should be the approach regarding advancement of the content
Yes.
from the
Yes, sir.
newspaper. And what was your optional?
My optional was political science and international
Political
relations,
science
sir.
and internet. So normally this impression is there. It is a very vast optional, and it take a lot of time to prepare it basically. So, and it is very dynamic and
Yes,
that
sir.
keep on changing.
Yes,
So what is where your view about it?
Sir, when I took political science, people also warned me about.
And I'll also ask this question. Being an engineer, you have decided
Yes,
to
sir.
go for the political science.
So, with respect to engineering subjects, I found out that if I incorporated that into my preparation, it will not have any added benefit in my GS preparation or essay. And in engineering, the syllabus was also too vast for me to cover comprehensively. And when I started to read political science, and I looked at the previous year question papers, and I also took a look at what was the relevant material about, so I found it very interesting. So people also want me about the size and the dynamic nature of the paper, but I found out that if I have an interest in it, I am more than ready to prepare for it. And eventually I took a political science and started to work hard on it.
Okay. And there is a one more general perception, like for paper 2, we need to go for studying a lot of countries' relationship. Sometimes people think that it required around 50-60 country relationship, although I don't believe like this.
Yes.
So what is your opinion about it?
So my personal belief is that if you have prepared the base material of international relations well, you can, and if you are going according to the syllabus, you generally have a gist of whatever type of relations one country can have with another. So even if you don't know the answer to that particular questions, you can whip out an answer from your existing material. So no need to go after the breadth of the sources. Instead focus on the limited resources and study them deeply and prepare them properly.
And how you differentiate PSIR paper 1 and PSIR paper 2?
Sir, it has now become a very difficult task to differentiate between paper 1 and 2 because the questions are becoming more and more interdisciplinary. So a combination of all concepts required in paper 1 and 2 is required across both the papers. But still, sir, if I could give a small differentiation, is that paper 1 generally refers more on the static part, while paper 2 is relatively much more dynamic, especially in the last year.
Okay. So do you think that in paper 2, understanding is more important than the factual information, analysis is more important than the factual information, or is it just the reading the content is enough?
Sir, for paper 2 especially, I would say analysis is more important. You can add some factual information as salt, but the main dish there would be the analysis part and how you present that analysis using your existing theoretical frameworks and existing concepts.
Okay. So is there any role of newspaper and magazines for preparation for optional?
Sir, with respect to magazines, I sometimes refer to some free articles from Foreign Affairs just to get additional perspective and to add some thinker views into my answers. And same goes with the newspaper, some additional new point or some new dimension of relation which was not covered by me before. All of these were used by me for the
So
answer writing.
if I'll ask you, can you suggest to our listeners what mistakes they should not do specifically in preparing for PSIR? They should avoid 2-3 things to do.
So, two to three things which I would advise the listeners would be, first of all, is to not run after perfection. and not to go after too much material, because the list of thinkers, the list of analysts is endless in PSIR. So keep your material limited and develop expertise in that, and some additional material can be used for referencing or for add value addition. But now coming to another mistake which the students of PSIR should not make is to ignore the answer writing part, because answer writing is 4/5 of what will make your PSIR paper. If you are not able to replicate what you have learned in your answer sheet, then that learning will have no meaning for you and you will not be able to get the marks in the end.
Okay. So I guess I can make this conclusion. You are talking about the role of answer writing is equally important, whatever you grasp or whatever you understand.
Yes, sir.
So do you think that the test series play a very important role?
Yes, sir. Test series plays a very important role in answer writing practices. There are a few reasons why a test series need to be preferred, because first of all, it develops the practice of sitting down on your table and sitting for 3 hours to write a paper, and it forces you to run your mind, right? And second would be the model answers which are given in the test series, which enhance your own answers, and it also gives you new ideas, new perspectives about how you should approach one thing. And third would be the guidance and the marking provided by the examiner, which points out the potential shortfalls of your own preparation.
Okay. So if I'll ask, what worked most for you in scoring good in your optional?
So one thing which worked out the most would be to prepare my static sources really well. In my first attempt, I scored quite less in my paper 1, which I have improved in my attempt number 2.
Okay. So in paper 1, you worked hard and you improved.
Yes, sir.
And that worked mainly for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's shift our discussion to the GS part.
Yes, sir.
So how we can make a balance between optional and general studies preparation?
So there are a few phases in which optional and GS studies need to be prepared. First is that during your initial days, I would say give more time to your GS paper, because optional paper requires a deeper study. So just start the preliminary reading of your optional paper. But as time goes on and you complete the basic subjects of GS like polity, economy, environment, among others, then you can focus more on your optional and start to incorporate an answer writing as well. And through that you can balance your GS and optional.
Okay. So what is the right time you think to get into the test series for general studies and for optional also?
So with respect to answer writing, I would say that the best time to start an answer writing was yesterday. But now as yesterday is over, today is the best time. So any day in which you feel you have started your preparation, get into a test series and start to write answers. Even if you don't know the answer to some of the questions, take a look at the solutions and then try to replicate it in your answer sheet. And slowly you can improve upon it.
So while reading the content, while studying the content or topic, one can think of to join test series.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I would like to ask one more question over here. What will be your change of strategy if you'll given again a chance you should appear for the examination?
Sir, if I appear again, then what I would like to do, change in my preparation or to enhance would be to increase my practice in essay, I would say, and to prepare more on the analysis part in paper 2 of optional.
Okay. I guess listeners must want to know how you manage your time, how you manage your emotions, how you manage your peer pressure.
Yes,
during your preparation. And one thing, as let me tell to listeners, after engineer you were in job. I guess you started working I
was there in JP Morgan, sir.
So now you can understand the package, you can understand money involved in that, and what make you to be out of that and go for the civil services?
So first of all, coming to why the civil services, I come from a family of civil servants, sir. So there was always a internal guidance and internal motivation to get into this, and plus there was also a desire to serve the country and to serve the people. So as a result, I decided that civil services would be the ideal mix of career and opportunities and challenges for me. And now coming to managing the time, Sir, with respect to time management, I used to study around 8 to 10 hours a day, but during the job that dropped to around 4 5 hours. So I used to make up that time in the weekend itself by going for marathon study sessions of around 10 12 hours each. And during the times when examinations for prelims and mains were involved, then I used to compromise on my sleep up to some extent so that certain additional hours could be put in. And with respect to how to manage my emotions, I would say that having a conducive family environment helped. And in addition to that, certain of my friends knew about that I was preparing, so their help also improved my mental condition.
Okay, that's very fine. But just one more thing in the similar
Yes.
direction. Like a lot of students who are in job and once they decide to leave job and start preparing.
Yes.
So there is always a dilemma moving out from the job. And when looking back, the friends who were remain in the job,
Yes.
so in the preparation time when it goes to 2 3 years, there is a kind of anxiety.
Yes, yes.
So how that anxiety could be addressed and how these things has to be managed.
So, with respect to addressing the anxiety of seeing others doing well while you are studying for your own examination, I would say that you need to accept that you are getting into a difficult field, and gaining success will require sometimes more time than the others. And you need to keep in mind that the paths in which you both are traveling, and so it is not relevant to compare that, as both of these are quite different. And third would be to enjoy the process, I would say that.
So, do you have any plans what you're going to do in services or any specific type of target goals you have set for yourself?
Sir, so far I haven't had the time to reflect upon what I would do in the service, so I am enjoying this journey as it comes by.
And you have cleared your prelims in both of the attempt.
Yes, sir.
So, what was the key for that? I mean, because prelims is quite dicey
Yes,
and student always worried about their prelims. But in first attempt also you have cleared.
Yes,
In
sir.
second attempt you have cleared. What helped you to crack that?
Sir,
What is the mantra of that?
Sir, two things. Apart from the various static sources you are following, what I would suggest to the candidates is that you solve more and more questions. And here solving questions will not only increase your confidence, but it will also increase your appetite for risk, which you would definitely need to undertake while guessing for answers in the prelims. And second would be that to focus on CSAT from a early age, from a early time, because CSAT is now becoming more and more difficult. And if you are able to surmount the difficulty of CSAT, you are already having a good shot at making into the final list for prelims.
Okay. And again, what 2 3 mistakes you suggest avoid for the prelims?
Sir, for prelims, the mistakes I would suggest the candidates avoid would be that to not go after too much of current affairs and instead focus more on the static sources. Current affairs can be done from a limited set of notes or a limited set of material which you are following. But for the static sources, there is no alternative. You have to read them completely and in an expert fashion. And second would be not to ignore the practice of sitting for tests, because many people feel nervous while appearing for tests, thinking that they have not prepared well, and they will give the next time when they are prepared well. So I would say to overcome that nervousness and sit for the tests, irrespective of what marks you get.
Okay. So we are about to finish our talk. So I would say that what will be your message for the future aspirants, specifically for the preparation for the general studies, preparation for your optional subject, and how to manage yourself basically. Again, I would say motivation is very important because it is a long journey. Just 3 important things. What will be your message?
So for studies, I would say that if the candidate is working hard and if he is working diligently, studies will not be an issue. If you are doing the right things, you are following the right sources, you are doing your hard work, you are putting in your answer writing hours. But with respect to managing himself or herself, I would say that the candidates maintain a close contact with their family and the peer group, and especially with the people who supported them the most, and have regular talks with them, do something they like, to take regular breaks so that the monotony of preparation does not affect their mental peace. And in these ways, I suggest that the candidates would be internally motivated so as to sit for the long hours which are a necessity for this examination.
So I'll add one more question. What will be your suggestion for the test series prelims examination? Because it has been seen basically earlier students are very much enthusiastic and then gradually they keep on missing the test. What is your understanding regarding this?
So with respect to test series, what I feel that people should regularly write the test series. From the day you are starting the test series, you need to be disciplined and you need to start writing your tests regularly and diligently. Because what happens is if you miss out in the middle, you may you take a loss of all the muscle memory which you had developed to write those previous tests, and the accumulated knowledge does not work out in the end. So if you are not writing a test series diligently and properly and not analyzing them as well, then it will lead to severe consequences in the end.
So what I understand that when you start appearing for the test in the prelims examination, till the end you keep on appearing.
Yes,
so it will help you to retain a lot of things,
Yes,
and
sir.
your muscle memory will
Yes,
be
sir.
also going to work.
But just some days or 15 days before the examination, stop writing and start to revise. Because in case you get a bad mark in the last days, it may discourage you. So I would say ki up to 15 days or so, wind up all your test series and then focus only on revision for the last 15 or 20 days.
Okay. Regarding mains test series, optional as well as GS, there is also like few students think that in the last 1 month they'll be able to write all tests. So what is your opinion and understanding regarding this?
So my understanding here is that if you write your tests in the last month, then you will not get sufficient time to work upon the improvements, because a lot of comments will be given by the examiner saying that you need to improve that, you need to improve this, you need to improve your answer writing, you need to improve your presentation. So all of those changes cannot be made within the 1 month. Some people might be able to make it, but I won't say but that would be a very small percentage. So I would suggest that once you have cleared prelims, start to put in dedicated amount of hours for answer writing itself only.
Because this thing is in the mind of the students ki once they'll complete the preparation, once they'll go through the entire syllabus, and then they start writing the test series basically.
So that also might work out for a few aspirants. But what I learned from UPSC is that UPSC does not look after perfection, and basically perfection is also attained by attempting trial and error method. So even if you are not sufficiently prepared for the test, I would say to just sit down and write some answers. So even if you are writing poor answers in the initial phases, you will be able to correct that, and eventually, slowly but steadily, you will be able to improve the quality of your answers.
Okay, this is going to be last and tricky question.
I will try.
Suppose if you have missed test series, then what you would have been missed?
Sir, if I had missed test series, I would have lost the opportunity to exercise an exam environment, to exercise myself in an exam-based environment, and that would lead to some consequences which would not have favored my candidature in this examination.
So what I conclude with this statement, this test series is a very important part of your preparation.
Yes.
One should not miss it, and even one should not delay it.
Yes.
Even writing a wrong
Yes,
answers, or I won't say wrong answer, writing
Yes, sir.
not a perfect answer, that is not a problem.
Yes, sir.
We can gradually improve that part basically.
Yes, sir. And not to take these marks seriously. Don't take these marks seriously, because the marks which you get in test series does not correspond to what you will get in the examination. Because examination is a whole different ball game. Test series just gives you the discipline and the ability to sit for 3 hours and complete 20 questions or 15 questions in a limited period of time.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank you,
so
sir.
much.